Hello, 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 all my favorite people. I'm Kylie at the Rebel Girls podcast, and today I have a very new friend of mine, Captain. I don't like to do introductions. I like people to do it for themselves. So
fantastic.
Your pronouns, your location, and what it is that you do on this planet to make it a little bit more kinder of a place.
I love it. Hi, I'm Captain. My pronouns are they, them. I'm a trans masc non-binary lesbian. And I'm a drag king. I'm an artist, fight director, playwright, artist all around, kind of fits what I do. But I'm happy to be here because I feel like we have the same kind of mission in networking queers together to put money in queer hands and also to introduce each other, basically.
Absolutely. Well, Captain, thank you so very much for being here with us today. I'm incredibly excited about your interview. I think you have a fascinating background that so many people are just going to be able to enjoy. So before we get into, what the show is really about, which is capturing stories of people who defy societal expectations, I always like to start with our roots, right? So thinking about 10-year-old you, I'm going to need 3 emojis that best describe 10-year-old Captain.
Okay, I had a good think on this because I definitely went back and looked at some of the pictures of my younger self. I don't have a lot of them personally, but my mom does, and she sent me a few, and I cannot tell you how obviously gay I am.
I feel that. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, wow, I really just didn't know, huh? I think one of my favorites obviously is the rainbow, but not just because of the queerness, but I have so many paintings that I just was constantly doing rainbows on, like in the background of. I would draw like a cat in a rainbow. I would do like a rainbow and then draw a heart. Like it was always rainbows, and I don't know why I was always doing that besides my obviously gayness. But that was one of them. Another one I would say, only because I'm a Pisces, I'm a feeler, I have a lot of emotions, I'd say the anatomical heart emoji. Have you seen that one?
I like your specification there. I've never had that answer. So
it's specific to the anatomical heart. A, because it's punk. Look at me.
It is punk.
But also because I wear my heart on my sleeve. I don't look like I do, but if you talk to me, I do. Like it's I've always been like that. I think just like emotionally aware and vulnerable with people. Probably to maybe to my detriment sometimes, but I wear my heart on my sleeve. And then the third one was between, only because I'm an artist and I did so much theater as a kid, would probably be the little dramatic masks, the drama masks, or the like dancing, the little like disco guy.
Okay, all right.
Because I was always dancing, always.
So a lot of production experience going like way back.
Yeah.
I know some of the people that are going to be listening and watching to this, and they are hardcore theater people.
Uh-oh.
My people. I'm asking for the fans right now. What's your favorite production that you've ever been a part of?
This is so well. Okay, but if your fans who are theater people are listening, they will all probably go, how do I choose? It's kind of a genre thing. Here, I'll go by genres. Music. I'm not a huge fan of musicals. I'm good at musicals, not a huge fan, because I feel like, hear me out, theater people, hear me out. I feel like musicals are a little behind on being proactive and PC and like new perspectives. I feel like we're a little slow in the musical world. Okay, don't hate me, but I do love. I'll always love West Side Story, but I do love Pippin, only because, hear me out. It's weird, but it's so meta. It's so meta that I feel like you could put it in any kind of circumstance, and it will always speak on the societal norms that are pressured into us, and us breaking out of that. You can be villainized if you're broken out of that. You can be looked down upon, treated unfairly. And I think I like, as a queer person, I feel like that fits into my mindset all the time. So I like Pippin as a musical. There are other good ones. Plays.
Oh, we're gonna get the whole thing. Theater people. This is for all people right now.
There's a myriad of plays that I love. Obviously, I love the play that I wrote. And I wrote this play. It's called La Maupin. I wrote this play because I wasn't feeling represented on stage as a trans masc, non-binary human. They have cast plenty of us in other roles or maybe even cis roles, but I didn't see myself on stage enough, so I wrote one about an already very queer human from the 17th century in France. So only because I just did it and I wrote it, it's my little baby. That's my favorite play.
And what's the name of that again, Captain?
La Maupin. LA space MAUPIN. La Maupin. We'll be touring it coming up. I don't have dates yet, but we'll be touring it kind of around, honestly. We'll be sending it to Edinburgh as well. Anywhere a venue will pick it up. I want to bring it to the queer crowds. So
okay, so we're putting it out into the universe right now. If you know someone in theater, let's make a connection happen here.
Let's make a connection. You want queer theater? I got a play for you.
All right.
I'm ready.
Just from what your play set is about, I think this is such a fantastic transition to really what we're here to capture. And this is your story about maybe feeling like society kind of did you a little dirty and maybe made you feel like you were supposed to be something that necessarily didn't fit. So yeah, you were a artistic, seemingly pretty happy, fun 10-year-old kid. And here you are with all of this other stuff going on now. Like, what's the transition? Like, what was this experience like?
Yeah, well, I'm sure as a lot of your listeners, but also just queer humans in general, I did my best with what I had. And I did luck out in having a very artistic mother. My dad was not so accepting of our people. So all of my coming out, I came out a million different ways, a million different times, was basically just my mom and my siblings, really my sisters, because those were the only safe places that I felt, even as a young, I think I was 14 the first time I came out. I told my mom that I kissed my friend Julie. So I was very happy in artistic spaces, but home was actually a little scary. Not always in a way that was like, I just didn't feel like it was a safe space to be myself. And so I very much wore like a mask. I was the golden child. I've always been ambitious, even as a kid. I was in dance classes. I was doing volleyball. I was doing tennis while I was in the musical, and then also the school Shakespeare play. Like, I was constantly always doing something. I think, according to my therapist, that kind of achievement trauma was to feel like I was enough, was to feel like I was proving to somebody that what I was acceptable. Yeah. And I honestly, even as a kid, my body was kind of reacting in a way that was rejecting what I was trying to put on it just to be accepted, because I was riddled with like panic attacks and like random bouts of nausea, and my body was like trying to fight to get out while I was trying to keep it contained. And even like wanting to be one of the boys, but not a man specifically, just wanted to be, I wanted to hang out with masculine energy to kind of hone my own masculine energy, but I'd be pushed out of those spaces. I was too weird for girls while I was crushing on them. So honestly, growing up, I did my best to put on this kind of fake happiness, but truly I was kind of dying inside. And it really wasn't until I think around 2018, 2019 that I started having conversations with myself and my therapist. But 2020, remember that year? I don't know if you remember that. Nothing big happened during that year. I remember, especially as an artist, being super, super bummed and honestly a little worried financially because I was an artist and everything was getting shut down, losing jobs, losing gigs that I had booked like years in advance. But I remember one day just saying, fuck it. And I started with like an undercut. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not booked for these gigs anymore because I had to kind of keep a look for the things I was booked for. And yeah, it started there. And I remember having this intense feeling of euphoria, like kind of from the chest, like where my sternum tattoo is. That's why there's like a lotus there. And I just kept going. I was like, oh, I'm starting to feel more in my body. I'm gonna get more tattoos because I've always wanted a tattoo as a kid. I'm gonna get more. I'm gonna put them on my hands. I'm gonna put them all over my body wherever I want because this is my body, my choice. Right. And that really started to sink in. And on top of that, I was learning about these kind of in between labels. Like trans masc. I had never heard of that being kind of an identity label or even something that I felt comfortable slipping into. And it was during 2020 that I discovered really my transness because I had already come out as non-binary, like a kind of a she-they mix. But trans as a concept was so foreign but so familiar. Right. At the same time, you know what I'm talking about? Those things when it just kind of clicks. Mm-hmm. And I just started to kind of, it started within, and I started to let the outside of me become more expressive of my transness, my masculinity, my mix of feminine and masculine, because I didn't want to let go of that femininity completely. So then getting into androgyny, starting estrogen blockers, just kind of like starting to creep out. And label wise, it was because I have a really solid group of friends that were all also in the queer world, but we're very much like, yeah, of course, that makes complete sense. That right. One now, absolutely, that makes sense too. And everyone just making sure that I felt more in my body. And it's so funny because those friends have seen me through crazy amounts of different versions of myself, because I'm an artist and I'm kind of a chameleon a little bit, where I can kind of shift energies. That they've never seen me more myself than when I'm on stage doing drag, because I get to be that full expression of right. myself. And I think it's so funny because whenever people come into my TikTok and they're like, why is this all thirst traps? I'm like, because I'm finally in a body that I love and I do drag and I want to promote that and just kind of like reinvigorate the style of drag that I do as a form of art. Mm-hmm. So it's like a full kind of circle of using all the artistic values that I had as a kid, being in a body now that I love and I feel more myself in, and coming back to the arts, but in a totally different, more brashly queer way. That was so much. I'm so sorry. I just
that was so perfect.
Okay.
That was so perfect. I think what you're describing is something that so many people, whether or not they identify the trans masc, it's irrelevant. So many did have that pivotal tipping point, one would say, right around the pandemic. I myself experienced it. Hell, at the time I was I was the executive director of a school wearing dresses with long hair. Like, who the was that? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Who is that?
Who is that? But I think what you described is something that's so familiar to myself and so many people that I know will be listening to it. We did what we thought we had to do. We were playing by the rules of the game that we were told we had to follow, but then the whole world kind of shit the bed, and here we are having to figure out our own rules.
Yeah. And I'm honestly, it's so funny to say, especially knowing how much I was panicking and scared in 2020, how grateful I am that the world kind of shut down for a second. We kind of reset. Some people say that we like jumped dimensions or shifted or whatever. But for me, for us, it was oh my God, society is made up. We made this up. We made these rules up. We're totally fighting kind of our natural. I mean, we don't even have the same cells we did 2 weeks ago. You know what I mean? We are constantly shifting spectrum beings, and for my brain my brain needed the world to shut down and prove that to me, for me to kind of like, oh my god, right, I can, the rules are made up, and as long as we're kind and consensual and honest communication is happening between us, we could just be ourselves.
We can just be ourselves.
We could just be ourselves and be so much happier for it.
I have a follow-up question. So I love to use my platform across the board to help educate and inform people so that they can have a better understanding of circumstances. Now, you are our very first trans masc here, and you use the term.
Oh my god!
I know, right?
Someone write that down.
You're the first. So could you, in the best or easiest phrases possible, could you explain it to someone who maybe is completely not in touch with the community as a whole, and maybe someone also who, like, maybe they have a kid at home who's maybe identifying as this? Like, what does it mean?
Yeah. Oh my god, I love this question. I answer this question almost every day on TikTok Live. Yeah. First, I'll say trans masc is different for all of us. Just like queer labels is different for all of us, right? And we all have different preferences. And again, it's a spectrum, a fluid thing. Orientation and gender identity is a construct, right? We're just kind of always flowing through it. For me, trans masc is, I was born female. I was assigned female at birth, AFAB. But I don't subscribe to that. I don't subscribe into being a female or a woman. I also don't subscribe to being a man. So basically what I tell people is I subscribe to energies. I'm going to say energy a lot. Sorry. I believe that every human has some sort of go-between of masculine and feminine energy in whatever way they feel most comfortable expressing, but also very naturally. I think we flow between it, even day to day, or even who we're interacting with. So I subscribe to those energies very consistently. And so the fluidity between masculine and feminine is an everyday occurrence for me. However, since I released my masculinity and felt more comfortable being in it, I lean towards masc. That being said, the trans part of it is because I don't subscribe to being AFAB, I also am trying to get these chopped off.
Good for you. Yeah.
I am working. I have a top surgery fund. It's a little GoFundMe. It's on my TikTok page as well. It's very expensive. But I'm doing my best. But I would feel most comfortable in my body if I did not have these. And taking estrogen blockers. So I'm adjusting some of my hormone levels. I would like some top surgery. But my goal for trans masc is living in androgyny. In between the two, fluid between. A lot of people will probably give a shorter answer and just be like, yeah, I'm not a woman, I'm not a man, but I lean masculine. But I'm going to give you a little more of like a specific kind of feeling, I guess, for me.
I like the feeling and I understand it immensely. Now, thinking about, you talked about earlier how when you made this transition over to living as your more authentic self, one of the things that you were hesitant or worried about was work life, gig life. Even as an artist, though the constructs of a typical profession don't necessarily, set you in a box, it still does. Right?
Yeah, it still does.
How has all of this, how you identify and how you're putting yourself as your most authentic form, how's it impacted that aspect of your life?
You know what's crazy? The more authentic you are in your skin, in your body, in your spirit, people will listen. I think there's an innate desire for authenticity in every human. And whether they know what that is or what they're seeking, I think every human knows what authenticity looks like when they see it. There's like, you kind of drawn to it, and it's almost like it's our purest form of human. And when someone has it, people are like, yeah, that. I was so afraid that I would be losing gigs. I'd be losing jobs. The more tattoos that I got, you know, even like getting hand tattoos, the tattoo artist has to say, hey, are you sure you want a hand tattoo for the job that you have? I'm finding, and maybe it's because of the generations coming up, but I'm finding that people don't actually care. They actually are more attracted to working with humans who are authentic, because that energy is undeniable. It really is. It truly is. And if you're good at what you do and how you present is not affecting that, which it usually doesn't, then people are actually pretty kind about it. They'll have a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions,
Right, yeah.
which is totally fine. But the best, what I've learned is the best people that you actually want to keep working with have no problem with it. And if anything, they want to give you more opportunity for your authenticity to have platforms. And even how we connected, like the little community that I've helped kind of shape, the little safe space that we have, they saw you like, oh yeah, no, you should talk to Captain. Because I think that's what this is. It's led me, if anything, into better jobs, better spaces, safer spaces, more a community that I belong in. I'm getting gigs from everywhere that I'm like, oh my god, I never even thought I could get a job over there. There's a lot of I think correcting of pronouns everywhere. I think I confuse people, which is fair. I love it, honestly. But even because of my authenticity, like I wrote a piece for the Metro UK about this kind of experience of finally coming into my skin, and that has opened up doors and only closed the ones that I really was not probably supposed to be in those spaces for, and I'm happier for it.
1,000,000%.
Like it's I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said 1,000,000%. It's so true.
Yeah.
When so long as you meet people with kindness, I've noticed that kindness meets kindness. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, and we're gonna create even better pieces together, or network better with better people the more authentic you are. It's incredible. It's this magical, I feel like I unlocked something.
Yep. It's like a leveling up, one would say.
Yeah, or an enlightenment, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Okay, so you've made a big switch. You've been able to embrace this side of yourself, so you're living more authentically, leading to more success. We need for the viewers to talk about what you do. Like I want to talk about the drag king thing, because if there is one thing I know on this planet, it is drag. I know all the queens and all the I know them all. And I have to say, everyone, I am a very harsh critic. I am judgy when it comes to drag. And when Captain and I were connected, I wasn't familiar with you, Captain. Somebody was like, "Oh, you should talk to Captain." I checked out your page, and immediately I was like, yes, because your style of drag, you can tell you have the most elegant roots in theater and dance, and it's exceptional what you do. So talk to us about your drag life and where you do it, why you do it, all of the things.
Damn, make me blush. Thank you. Yeah, wow. Thank you. I'm very into not only expanding the world of drag and also like bringing it to more public platforms, but also that it's an art form. It truly is an art form. And like, yeah, I take off my clothes. Yeah, I'm grinding my fake dick in your face. But it is an art form. It truly is. So I got into drag actually from an ex-partner who was also a drag king. They also are kind of gender fluid, so they were kind of already playing with that, and they were very kind. They're like, "Do you want to try it? You have a theater background, you have a dance background. I'm sure you do great." And I remember getting on stage and doing it and blacking out completely. My body took over, my performer took over, and I was living in this moment. The two kind of personas that I have are someone called one of them a feral pirate.
Oh, I like that.
I might get tattooed on me somewhere. Feral pirate. because I always wanted to be a pirate and captain. But he's kind of like a like rock star energy. I don't know if you know the band Måneskin, but it's an Italian rock band. Listen, it's the best band ever. I'm obsessed with them. It's an Italian rock band, and Damiano is the lead singer. He's just kind of like this gender fluid, like wiggly tattooed thing, but he's got this rock, like raspy voice, and I do all my like kind of animalistic style to that.
Okay.
And then on the other side, I've got this kind of like, you know, fuckboy energy, like Justin Bieber boy pop band kind of style. And so I'll do a lot of like Bieber, Austin Mahone, and like kind of pop boy band stuff. But both of them are drag-lesque, which if you don't know what that is, it's a drag performance. So you're impersonating obviously kind of an extreme version of masculinity for me as a king, but you strip. So the lesque is the burlesque part, because not all drag kings strip. But drag-lesque is a combination of both. And so I get down to my skivvies, to my little jockstrap, and my little my little pack, which is a sock filled with rice.
Oh.
For those of you who are trying out drag, it's a great pack to put in your jockstrap.
Right. I never would have guessed that. That's like a pro tip. We should charge for that one.
Pro tip. A sock of rice. Yeah, I dance around, I move, I use my dance background to, you know, crawling on people. I usually have a chair. We call it a victim chair in my show. And I'll have a consent talk before to have my person point out any spots on their body that they're not comfortable with me touching. It's very important. Consent is so important in drag. A lot of spaces will just say, hey, please don't touch us. But I always give consent because I trust my audiences. And honestly, I'm a very open person. So I give consent, and then I check with consent with people. But typically in drag spaces, if you're doing this or doing this, we don't approach you.
Yeah.
We don't approach you. If you're doing this, we're probably going to approach you.
Different ball game.
Yeah. Totally different ballgame if your body is open. But also in the drag show that I run out in Dallas called Gender Blender, we have that consent talk for everybody, and we kind of give this sort of instruction to everyone. But I still, with the person that I kind of grind up on in the chair, I always have a separate conversation, just in case, because I don't want anyone to feel pressured to do it or do anything, you know, and then afterwards be like, I actually was not cool with that. So consent is very important in my shows. Besides the show that I help run with Sarah Yaden and Mitchell Stevens in Dallas, I do drag everywhere that I can. I was just in Austin doing Austin Pride. It was amazing. Shout out to Girls, Gays, and Nays for a rad party, to Austin Trans Pride that happened at Cheer Charlie's. It was amazing. But my next show will be at the end of the month, and I'll be in LA because I'm between Dallas and LA. That's with the Them Fatales. It's a group of drag kings out there in LA. They're super rad. A lot of them are trans and non-binary as well. So those are my people. And then after that, I'll be doing another drag show with Gay Astrology in LA. At the Terragram Ballroom. And since we kind of started this little collective of kind of helping them with events and stuff, promoting, but also creating kind of queer weekends with them. Yeah, just kind of jumped over to LA and dipped my toe in the drag world out there. I'm talking to someone in Charlotte. I'm talking to a venue in Tucson. I'm planning a UK tour. I just want to do drag everywhere and show people what drag can look like, but also represent trans, masc, non-binary kings.
I love that. Now, have we had a drag king on RuPaul yet is the big question.
No. And we need it.
This is our moment. RuPaul.
Babe, call me. I also know a lot of really good kings. So you'd have me, you'd have a myriad of kings to choose from, but also around the country, there's so many of us out here that don't get big platforms, and we're doing some really cool stuff, like some gender fuck stuff. It's really cool. So give us a platform because we want to be out there.
That's right.
Let us show you what we
calling
can
you
do.
out. All right,
Come on.
Captain. So say hypothetically somebody was really interested in maybe booking you for a gig or something like that.
Uh-huh.
How would they get in contact with you? What's the best way to link up?
Great. My entire link and booking is all on @KingCaptain_drag on Instagram. All of my stuff. I have my GoFundMe for top surgery, a booking email. I have a separate thing on there as well for giving to Free Palestine institutions as well as Heal Palestine. There's a lot. There's like a whole link tree on KingCaptain_drag on Instagram. That's how you book me. But also, if you find me on my other Instagram, which is just KAMILBOURN, Captain, that's me. I'll reach out to you. Yeah. But all my booking stuff is there.
Awesome. Well, Captain, it's been such a genuine pleasure to hear all about your experience and your evolution as a human being. I'm so excited to see 10 years from now, we're going to have to do a recap show after you've been on RuPaul and all of that.
Yes.
All right, friend.
I've been honored. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, I've got one more question before we wrap up, though. So, because there are so many youth in the world who I think right now are navigating a very similar experience to the one that you have gone through, if there was one piece of advice you'd like to share with them, what would it be?
I would say find your people. I would say find a safe space community. And if it's with one of our platforms, great, come find us, because you also have an incredible platform that would be a beautiful safe space for them. Find your safe space, find your people, find your community, whatever that is. And even if you don't have one in your local city, go find them online. I truly believe that's one of the big, incredible things that the internet has done for us is networking, especially for queer humans. Be in those safe spaces and learn about what kind of niche you fit into, the fluidity of spectrum in the queer worlds. Find your people, because community, especially nowadays, is so vital for our existence and continued existence. My community is what helps me stay in a good mindset. So community, safe space.
Fantastic. Well, Captain, thank you again. It's been a genuine
Thank you.
pleasure. And to all of our listeners, until next time, keep being the rebels I know you really are.